And I was a monster. And I took Brittany Drexel's life.
After 13 long years, the man responsible for 17-year-old Brittany Drexel's kidnapping, rape, and murder has been brought to justice.
Crime of murder indictment 2022 GS 2200741. Sentence of the court is you committed to the State Department of Corrections for the term of your natural life.
In his first court appearance connected to the case, longtime person of interest Raymond Moody entered a guilty plea for his involvement in Drexel's death. Finally, answers on what happened the night of April 25, 2009, when Drexel vanished from her spring break trip in Myrtle Beach.
Today we know the truth, and today, Mr. Moody, you face the consequences for that. Today, my daughter, Brittany, is here with me, with all of us, not just in spirit. Brittany is present.
Closure for a family desperately searching for answers into what happened to their teenage daughter and sister when she vanished in Myrtle Beach back in 2009. Today, a judge sentenced Raymond Moody to a life behind bars after he pled guilty to kidnapping, raping, and murdering Brittany Drexel. Our Ashley Bowles and Ali Espinosa join us live outside the Georgetown Judicial Center, where that hearing took place today. Ali spoke with the prosecution about the process to get to this point. But first, we begin with Ashley, who breaks down the new timeline the assistant solicitor laid out, which fills in many of the missing pieces from Drexel's disappearance to the discovery of her death in Georgetown County. Ashley.
Erica, questions about the Drexel case have gone unanswered for years, but today, finally, there are some answers. This all started with a timeline, like you mentioned, first laid out by Assistant Solicitor Scott Hickson. Scott Hickson used data from tracking of Drexel's cell phone, as well as security footage from when Drexel was last seen alive in Myrtle Beach on April 25th, 2009. Based on security footage and tracking of her cell phone, Hickson said an FBI interview with Raymond Moody's girlfriend, Angel Voss, in April of this year is what got the ball rolling. She agreed to cooperate and wear a wire when talking with Moody, which led to a face-to-face interview and a confession from Moody. Moody told law enforcement he and Voss went to Myrtle Beach to party when the two saw Brittany along Ocean Boulevard and lured her into an SUV. Moody said he asked Brittany if she wanted to smoke weed with them, and she agreed. Brittany got in the car with Moody voluntarily, according to Moody. The three then drove to Moody's campsite located off Pole Yard Way, which is just 17 minutes from the Georgetown County Judicial Center. Once at the campsite, Hickson said Voss left to run an errand, and that's when Raymond became violent toward Drexel. Raymond admitted to forcing Drexel to have sex with him. When Angel returned, Moody told her that Drexel's friends had picked her up. He had strangled her at that campsite. Moody then buried Drexel's body in an area that is now known as the Harmony Township neighborhood. After the timeline was read, several family members read statements, including Chad Drexel, Brittany's adopted dad.
And I hate that. I'm so sick of it. The defendant was and is, a perverted, sick monster. That this should never happen to anyone ever again.
And several other family members also spoke today, including Brittany's mom, Dawn, and her brother, Camden. Now, while Raymond will spend the rest of his life in a prison, the death penalty was not an option on the table. Ali Espinosa was also in court today. She joins us now live to go over more about the death penalty. Ali?
Ashley, Solicitor Jimmy Richardson tells me that Raymond Moody was already set to face the death penalty because of his charges. Now, Richardson says that to qualify for the death penalty, the charges must be murder plus another charge. Now, in this case, Raymond Moody was charged with the murder, kidnapping, and rape of Brittany Drexel, which means it was death penalty eligible. Richardson added that his team has tried half of the death penalties in the state of South Carolina. So when it came to his office investigating the case, they were originally seeking the death penalty for Moody, but Richardson says after conversations with the Drexel family and other legalities, their plans changed.
They really didn't want the death penalty. They wanted him to live the rest of his life in prison. part of the decision would be up until the legislative session last year, there was really no way to carry out the death penalty.
Richardson says that ultimately it was his decision on whether or not to seek the death penalty. He says he valued the Drexel's family wishes the most. Live in Georgetown, Ali Espinosa, WNBF News.
Ali, Ashley, thank you so much. Well, it's been a long journey to get answers to what happened to Brittany Drexel, and it all began back in April of 2009. Brittany Drexel, then just 17 years old, told her mom she was headed no more than 20 miles away from her home in New York to Charlotte Beach in Rochester. Instead, she came down to Myrtle Beach for spring break. Security footage shows her standing in front of the Blue Water Resort on Ocean Boulevard Saturday, April 25th. That's the last time she was seen alive. Her last text was sent to her boyfriend just before 9 p.m. He messaged back, but she never replied. That's when he called Drexel's mom, Dawn, who then got police involved. Investigators pinged Drexel's phone to a location in Surfside Beach, 6 miles away, about 30 minutes after she sent that final text message to her boyfriend. And her phone pinged again a couple of hours later, just before midnight, near the North Santee River and Highway 17. That's close to the Georgetown and Charleston County lines, and 46 miles from where she was last seen outside the Blue Water Resort. Authorities began a massive search for Drexel where her phone last pinged. Tips also began pouring in, but no real leads were established. The search was called off just 2 weeks later on May 10th. Friends and family members continued search efforts, hosting memorials, hanging signs, and talking to law enforcement daily about the case. Now, fast forward to August 2011, where Myrtle Beach Police, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant on a motel room at the Sunset Lodge in Georgetown County. That's where Moody had stayed around the time of Drexel's disappearance. Authorities would not officially name Moody as a person of interest until months later in February of 2012. Officials also said Moody received a traffic ticket in Surfside Beach for speeding just 1 day after Drexel disappeared, but while he was named a person of interest, he was not formally charged. Since 2009, potential leads in the case were far and few between. One of those emerged in August 2016 when an FBI agent revealed a jailhouse informant told them Drexel was abducted and gang raped at a, quote, stash house in McClellanville area. The agent also said she was allegedly shot when trying to escape, and her body was then fed to alligators. Authorities arrested Timothy Taylor, implicated in the case by the informant years prior in an unrelated armed robbery. Taylor and his family maintained his innocence from the beginning, and he was never charged in the Drexel case.
Years of false allegations and misleading media coverage have taken hold. Timothy's name and face will forever be linked to Brittany Drexel because of a lie, and the FBI's reliance on that lie.
Law enforcement officially cleared him of involvement in the case after officials say Moody confessed and led investigators to her remains this past May.
Georgetown County Sheriff's Office charges against Mr. Raymond Moody are murder, kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. All of these charges occurring within the jurisdictional limits of Georgetown County.
Today marks the beginning of a new chapter. The search for Brittany is now a pursuit of Brittany's justice.
Now, that was back from the media conference in May, where officials confirmed they discovered human remains about 4 feet in the ground within the Harmony Township neighborhood on May 12th. They say dental records were used to confirm it was Drexel. Now, Moody was formally charged with Drexel's kidnapping, rape, murder, which the sheriff's office says all occurred in Georgetown County the night Drexel went missing. Warrants show Moody strangled Drexel to death. Authorities say Moody buried Drexel's body the day after. Now, Moody had an extensive criminal history. He's a registered sex offender following a 1983 conviction in California for kidnapping and raping several girls there. Back in May, WNBF News spoke exclusively with a woman who says she vividly remembers her kidnapping and hours-long rape by Raymond Moody. It's been nearly 40 years since Carrie Harding, now a mom and grandmother, living in Vallejo, California, was a little girl walking on a weekend afternoon to meet a friend for a play date. That play date never happened as she was kidnapped and attacked by a man she later found out was Raymond Moody.
By the time I get up to his car, he's unlocking the passenger door of his car, and he threw me in the car. And he drove off and had me out of there so fast I couldn't even blink. Like, that's literally how fast it happened.
Harding said they drove to an undeveloped housing site in Vallejo, a few miles from her school, where she was hoping to play with a girl her age. By telling Moody that she needed to go to the bathroom, Harding was able to escape from his car, run, and find help. What Harding says she didn't find out until a few months after her attack was that she was one of 7 girls under the age of 14 that Moody also kidnapped and assaulted.
You know, when you're the 6th of 7 girls, what you know for sure is that he's never going to stop doing this.
The charges landed him with a 40-year sentence, but he was released in 2004 after only serving 21 years. Information from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation said Moody had a determinate sentence, which means he had a specified amount of time to serve with a calculated release date. Following his release, he moved nearly 3,000 miles from California back to Georgetown, South Carolina, where he grew up. We're continuing to cover today's conclusion to the 13-year search for answers on what happened to Brittany Drexel. We were the only station to bring you today's hearing on the air and the first to tell you Raymond Moody pleaded guilty.
With that, I'd like you to meet our head football coach, Tim Beck.
A new man in charge to lead the Coastal Carolina University football program after weeks of coaching speculations.
I cannot tell you how humble, how honored, and proud I am to be the 4th football coach at Coastal Carolina. It's surreal. It's hard to believe that I'm up here.
NC State's offensive coordinator Tim Beck becomes the 4th coach in program history and takes over the keys to one of the winningest group of 5 programs during the past 3 years.
A new era for Coastal Carolina football now officially underway. Good afternoon to you. I'm Erica Edwards. Within the past 30 minutes, CCU leaders welcomed Tim Beck to the stage at the HTC Center in Conway as Coastal's new head football coach. We were the first to bring you the announcement yesterday through our WMBF News app. Beck was joined alongside CCU President Michael Benson and Chair of Athletics Executive Director of Football Joe Moglia. Beck said he could not be more excited to be the head coach and that he and his family are humbled and honored to be a part of the Chanticleer family and the Conway community. He also shared one message for the Teal Nation.
I ask one thing from the community, and one thing only. Let's make Brooks Stadium the toughest, most feared place to play in the Sun Belt Conference each and every Saturday.
Beck comes to Conway with nearly 2 decades of coaching experience at various Power 5 programs. Most recently, he served as NC State's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the past 3 seasons, helping lead the 23rd ranked Wolfpack to 3 consecutive 8+ win seasons and a 25-11 record. During his time in Raleigh, NC State ranked in the top half of the ACC in scoring offense, total offense, and passing offense. And that's not the only success Beck has had in a role at the Power 5 level. He handled wide receiver duties at Kansas starting back in 2005, heading to Nebraska in 2008 for a 7-year stint as the running backs coach, leading to promotion as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. He held that same position at Ohio State in 2015 and 2016, helping the Buckeyes get back to double-digit win seasons and an appearance in the college football playoffs. He then led a high-powered and dynamic Texas Longhorns offense from 2017 to 2019. He's previously received recognition as one of the best recruiters in the nation, as well as one of the top assistant coaches in all of the FBS. Over the course of his 35 years of total coaching experience, 18 in the Power 5, he's mentored countless stars on the college football scene, including Devin Leary, Sam Ehlinger, JT Barrett, Cardell Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, Amber Abdullah, Taylor Martinez, and Rex Burkhead. He even comes into Conway already with a few ties to Coastal. He built a relationship with former head football coach and current chair of athletics Joe Moglia during his time at Nebraska. Beck also has a daughter who graduated from Coastal last year and played on the indoor and beach volleyball teams. WMBF News reporter Samuel Shelton joins us now after checking in with students across campus. Samuel, what were students' reactions to the news?
Well, Erica, some students across campus tell me that when it comes to seeing a new coach, they're in shock. But others, including some members of the football team, say this new change will take some time to get adapting to. I spoke to several students across campus earlier today about Chadwell's announcement to leave, and they hope when the new head coach Tim Beck comes in to take helm. Some say seeing Chadwell leave after such good seasons is shocking, while many respect the decision and are looking forward to welcoming the new coach.
You know, it's always upsetting at losing a head coach after having such a great season and previous season. And, you know, but you have to understand the coach has to do what he has to do to provide for his family.
I thought he was really connected within Coastal, and they had a really good season. And just the leaving, I think it just makes the players maybe think like, why should I care if he doesn't care kind of thing. So it's just kind of upsetting. But hopefully the new coach coming in will give us a great season and show more of that like understanding and like wanting to be with the players.
My thought process now is trying to adapt. There's a lot of change about to happen. I know it's about to happen.
Now, other players I spoke with say Chadwell left a legacy here and are looking forward to what's to come for Coach Beck. I'm live in Conway, Samuel Shelton, WBF News.
Thank you, Samuel. The change of leadership comes after a disappointing 2 weeks for the Chants. While rumors swirled over Jamie Chadwell's future in Conway, Coastal has a 9-3 record with 6 conference wins, but fell flat the past 2 weeks against James Madison and Troy in the conference championship game just on Saturday. The Chants were outscored 92-33 over that period in the 2 losses. Jamie confirmed the rumors after the game. He had been talking to Liberty about the possibility of heading to the Mountain.
I have talked to them, but I'll stick to my comment that I had, I think it was yesterday, that I've not signed anything with them or anything of that nature. I'm a person of faith. That's important to me. And if I'm led to go somewhere else, I'll go somewhere else. You know, that's the way I always try to do it. I don't go for money. I don't go for anything, but where can I do? I believe that I can impact people in a positive way. That's important to me. I've been able to do it here at Coastal, and I love that, and I love our team. And so, but anytime you have any type of opportunities, you look at it and see, is there opportunity to better for your family?
This became Coach Chadwell's game with Coastal because less than 24 hours later.
Please welcome head coach Jamie Chadwell.
The university announced Chadwell as its next coach yesterday, filling in the void left by Hugh Freeze's departure to Auburn last week. During his introductory press conference, he echoed the same sentiment from Saturday, saying the move is about the impact for people.
When you have an opportunity to impact people at the most prestigious institution of higher learning from a Christian background as Liberty University, you don't pass that up. I believe God's ordained this opportunity for me, and I'm blessed to be the football coach here.
He also mentioned his faith playing a huge role in the decision and acknowledged the balancing act he went through while trying to coach and decide what's next for his future.
God opened this door, and my family and I jumped right in, and it was a challenging to try to go through a season and have some of this the last 3 weeks, but it wasn't. It was challenging to try to keep your team focused and do the things that you're necessary to do, but. When you ask for discernment from the Holy Spirit, when you ask wisdom from the Holy Spirit, He says in His Word He gives it to you, and He gave us the wisdom and He discerned us that Liberty University is where we wanted to be. I want to continue to build on what's here. I know there's a good foundation, and that's when you have a good foundation, that's awesome. You can build on that. We're going to continue to build this program where it's the premier program in G5.
ESPN and Sports Illustrated both report Chadwell signed a multi-year deal up to as many as 7 years worth $4 million per season. ESPN also reports Tim Beck finalized a 5-year contract with Coastal, paying him nearly $1 million per season with the addition of strong performance incentives similar to Chadwell's CCU contract. We've reached out to Coastal Carolina University to get the specifics on Beck's contract. Back in February 2021, WMBF News reported Coastal more than doubled Chadwell's base salary and renegotiated contract set to run through the end of 2027. That contract elevated his base salary to $850,000 and included $50,000 pay raises each year. With the addition of potential bonuses, including winning the East Division, winning the entire Sun Belt Conference, earning a bowl invitation, winning that bowl, and finishing in the top 25 or 50 in the final poll rankings of the season. Chadwell could have received up to $2,150,000 last year. At the time, he provided us with a statement saying he and his family were excited to be a part of Teal Nation for years to come. Now, much of the success Coastal sees today is thanks in part to the work of Chadwell. He certainly built a solid foundation here in Conway. He joined the budding FBS program in 2017 as Coastal adjusted to its move to the FBS and Sun Belt Conference. He soon helped elevate CCU to the national spotlight, leading the Chants to back-to-back 11-win seasons, first-place finishes in the Sun Belt, the program's first bowl appearance and bowl win, and becoming a regular name in the top 25 polls, even reaching as high as number 12 in the college football playoff rankings rankings in 2020. He's given Chanticleer fans plenty to cheer about over the last 3 seasons, picking up 31 wins and only 6 losses in that time frame. That's the second best record for any Group of 5 program. During this time, he received several Coach of the Year recognitions. There's still business left on the table for Coastal Carolina to take care of this season. Also yesterday, the Chants learned its destination and opponent in its bowl game. Coastal will head back to Alabama to take on the East Carolina Pirates in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl Tuesday, December 27th. It's the Chants' 3rd straight bowl game appearance. East Carolina went 7-5 overall, 4-3 in the American Athletic Conference this season. It will be the first ever meeting between the two teams on the gridiron. Coastal Carolina's defensive coordinator, Chad Staggs, will serve as the interim head coach for that game. Kickoff for the nationally televised match up on the ESPN is set for 6:45. Tickets are now on sale. And we're continuing to stay on top of the story for you. Corinne McGrath joins us live at 4:30 to recap Tim Beck's introductory press conference this afternoon. Plus, we'll share some of how the Coastal Carolina football players reacted to yesterday's roller coaster of events and the history between the Chants and Liberty. And as always, you can get our latest coverage through our WMBF News app. Reactions from some of the Coastal Carolina football players and university leadership began to flood social media while this news unfolded yesterday. First, CCU President Michael Benson tweeted out his well wishes to Coach Chadwell with this new opportunity and thanked him for his contributions to Coastal football. He also said with an outstanding roster, promising recruits and new facilities coming soon, the future of our program has never been so bright. And then one of Coastal's former head coaches, Joe Moglia, who's now serving as the chair of athletics and executive director of football, also tweeted a welcome to Tim Beck to Conway. He says he's known Beck for a long time and has had a great track record of not only on the field success, but of taking care of his players and helping them develop into men. He also shared his immense gratitude for Chadwell and wished him nothing but success. And the official Coastal football Twitter account posted this graphic thanking Chadwell for his time in Conway. And then players also sharing their memories of playing under Chadwell. Super senior cornerback Jordan Strong thanked him for coming all the way to Mississippi, presenting him with the opportunity of a lifetime as an athlete and a student. And then meanwhile, some of the players are already looking to the future of Coastal football. Star quarterback Grayson McCall tweeting out Chants versus the world. Well, backup quarterback Jarrett Guest says he loves this university and says he's ready to ride with Coach Tim Beck. And then offensive lineman Will McDonald chimed in saying Chants till the wheels fall off. And linebackers JT Killen and Shane Bruce also saying they're Chants forever. And then Coach Chadwell's wife, Sol Maz, took time this morning to thank Teal Nation. She said their time here has been nothing short of amazing, and their hearts will always have a special place for Coastal football. We also wanted to get your reaction to the news. WMBF posted on Facebook asking what you thought about the recent head coaching change. Jim Zelliff commented saying it's a fantastic opportunity for Coach Jamie, a stepping stone to a Power 5 job, adding he coached at Coastal for pennies in comparison until last year when CCU stepped up its game. Bonnie and Bobby Hughes say change is hard for some people to accept, but change is good. And they see great things in CCU's future. And it's a great day to be a Chanticleer. Chadwell's move to Liberty leaves a bitter taste for some Chants fans. Of course, the Chants and Flames remain bitter rivals since the dawn of the Coastal football program. The rivalry dates back to 2003 when Coastal first started playing football. The two teams were members of the Big South Conference on the FCS level. Over the 13-year span, Coastal and Liberty won or shared the conference championship 10 times. The regular series ended after the 2016 season when the Chants moved up to the Sun Belt. Liberty holds a slim 8-7 advantage in the all-time series record between the two programs. The teams last met in 2020 in Orlando, Florida for the Cure Bowl. The Flames edged out as winners in a thrilling back-and-forth 37-34 overtime win, spoiling Coastal's undefeated season. The programs are also set to meet several more times over the next decade. Looking ahead to 2024, the Chants are set to open the season with a trip to Lynchburg, Virginia, to take on Jamie Chadwell's led Flames team on August 31st.
Yes, we need more ambulances here on Mexico Highway now. Unfortunately, we're through with several people.
2 lives tragically cut short in Florence County. A car driving through a crash scene, killing a motorcyclist and a paramedic caring for the victims.
We need help out here. If you can see me, everybody you got, please.
Reactions are pouring in from first responders this afternoon after suddenly losing a colleague.
First at 4, we are bringing you new details on the crash that has left 2 people dead.
Police and EMS responded to a crash on Pamplico Highway last night just before 9 o'clock. While treating the victims, a separate car not involved in that crash drove through the crash scene, killing a paramedic and a motorcyclist.
Yeah, and that first person was identified as Sarah Weaver, the first responder. Also, that motorcyclist is identified now as Cedric Gregg.
WMBF News reporter Ali Espinosa spoke with the Florence Sheriff's Office to learn more about this ongoing investigation.
Yeah, so Ali, tell us what new details you've learned this afternoon.
Yeah, Eric and Rachel, I spoke with Major Mike Nunn with the Florence Sheriff's Office, and he gave me exactly a breakdown of what happened over the almost 12 hours that crews were responding to both of these crashes. This is the video we gathered when we were at the scene when it was still active earlier today. Major Nunn says Florence Police, Highway Patrol, and EMS were responding to the first crash involving 2 motorcyclists and an SUV on Pamplico Highway at 8:45 p.m. last night. That's when he says the other vehicle, which was traveling in the wrong direction, crashed into the EMS vehicle, killing 32-year-old Sarah Weaver when on duty. Major Nunn also told me that the reason why the Sheriff's Office is taking over this investigation is because there are different agencies involved.
The agencies typically cannot investigate their own incidents. That's to remove any potential for bias, prejudice, appearance of impropriety. So it just makes it appropriate in all cases for an agency not to investigate itself.
Major Nunn also told me that Myrtle Beach Traffic Reconstruction Team also came out to assist.
We begin tonight with a pair of breaking stories. Right now we have a crew at the scene of a fire that is now under control that damaged 4 homes in Myrtle Beach.
But first, authorities are reporting no injuries in an off-campus shooting that prompted Coastal Carolina University to issue a shelter-in-place order.
That alert from CCU said there was a report of shots fired around 8:30 at the Carolina Pines apartment complex. Horry County police say no one was hurt in that shooting on Carolina Road, but there was property damaged at the scene. There's no threat to campus at this point. Horry County police are continuing to investigate, and we will update you as soon as we learn more.
All right, what can you tell us? Yeah, so the latest update we're able to share is that the fire is now under control. The good news is there are no reported injuries.
And more breaking news within the last several hours. Horry County Fire Rescue crews say they have contained a 3-alarm fire that seriously damaged 4 townhome-style units.
It began around 6:30 on Arezzo Way.
WMBF's Eric Richard joins us live now from the scene.
Hey, Eric, so you've been out there for quite a while now. What have you learned so far from those that are living nearby?
Well, I'll tell you what, good evening to both of you, and it was an intense firefight this afternoon. Let's get right to the video. Let's show you what we're talking about here. We were live and first here on the scene this afternoon as Horry County Fire Rescue says that they received the call about the multi-unit fire around 6:42 in the 800 block of Arezzo Way, and when they arrived on scene, they found the 4 units had heavy smoke and flames coming, and they upgraded that fire to a 3-alarm. Multiple agencies responded, and around 9 p.m. tonight, the fire was deemed under control. Now, there was heavy rain, thunder, and lightning at the time, but we still don't know the exact cause of this fire. Maureen LaFountain lives nearby, and she says that a Good Samaritan saw the fire and stopped to help.
I'm the one who actually was sitting next door in his backyard having supper. It hit the back of that home right next to him, and a car was driving behind there. Had he not come around and started banging on the doors that there was a fire, this could have been that much worse.
Horry County Fire Rescue says that 8 adults were displaced due to this fire. They're being assisted by the American Red Cross, who's on scene here. We still, again, don't know the exact cause of this fire, and fire crews will continue to remain on scene throughout the night to make sure that there aren't any flare-ups and to continue their investigation. That is the very latest now from Horry County. Eric Richards, WMBF News.
Our certified most accurate weather team says there were about 100 reported lightning strikes in Horry County 10 minutes prior to that fire starting.
And you can see the lightning strike captured here from our viewer Lily Tomczyk when those storms rolled through. Really just incredible. There you can see all the way down. And then we also had another photo sent to us as well that also came through showing some of the lightning that folks were dealing with today.
We should point out that while it was an active evening, First Alert meteorologist Robert Whitehurst tells us the rain is long gone.